So let's take a look at efforts to assist self-employed workers. The Self-Employment Tax Initiative is a project of the Corporation for Enterprise Development, also known as CFED. This is an effort to help assist lower-income self-employed taxpayers, and CFED has helped to provide support and resources to over 40 organizations since implementing this project in 2006. The organizations include some rural programs, such as in Montana and Minnesota. There's been 2 pilot programs, and this one in 2012 was a joint initiative with the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, and NCTC, the National Community Tax Coalition. The outcome of this pilot was that more than 9,000 tax returns were filed for business owners. 49% were eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit, and 20% were eligible for the Child Tax Credit. During this pilot, business owners were also linked to resources to help budget, financial education resources, financial planning, business planning, all of these different resources. So you can learn more about the pilot in entirety by following this link that is for a report on that 2012 pilot. CFED is uncertain at this time if there will be a third pilot, so you can kind of stay tuned and learn more about that. There are also other resources on the CFED site. Even if the pilot isn't continued, there is an online resource bank that has some great resources that you can use locally if you are working with self-employed workers. Okay, so now we'll go through just a few outreach strategies and resources that can be useful for rural practitioners. One is virtual VITA. VITA, again, is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And virtual VITA is an arrangement where 2 organizations can partner to file tax returns for clients, and the 2 organizations can be in completely different locations. Another presenter is going to share more detail about how this works, so I'm not going to say any more about the virtual VITA. Online self-preparation is another opportunity that can be useful, especially in rural communities. This is an opportunity for taxpayers to input their own tax return data and essentially file their own tax return with guidance from someone else. So if they have questions, if they aren't sure about something, they can get that guidance. They can also have their tax return reviewed before they actually submit it. This arrangement is known as facilitated self-assistance or free assisted self-service tax preparation. There's a brochure that you can look at, this PDF through the IRS site that shares more details about it. And there's also a couple of other websites which can help people to file their returns themselves if they feel comfortable doing so. This is an arrangement that can be useful in VITA sites that maybe you have a lot of clients. So for those who feel comfortable completing their own return, it's a way to help serve them and deal with the overflow of clients, especially during peak times. And it's also useful for returns that are of a more basic and simple nature. It allows the VITA volunteers to free up their time so that they can file the tax returns that are a little bit more complex. Additionally, utilizing mobile or roving free tax preparation sites is a great way to serve rural communities. You can bring tax filing assistance to multiple locations. You can do it on one day or several days, and it's a way to reach more people. So it's something that some organizations coordinate on their own, and you'll hear more about a presenter's experience with this process. For high school VITA sites, This is a way, high school VITA sites are an opportunity for students to develop life skills and put them to use and be able to engage themselves academically as well as socially. And high school VITA sites are also an opportunity to reach and communicate with families on a regular basis. So high school VITA sites have been very successful in several communities, especially rural communities where maybe high schools serve as a gathering place that for more than just students' education. Some high school VITA sites also provide assistance for completing college financial aid applications, and so this is a great way to expand the outreach efforts and go beyond the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. So how can you grow your program to become stronger and more effective? Whether you've been involved in outreach for a couple of years or if you're new to this, there are a couple of things that you can keep in mind. One is to establish partnerships. This link on this slide is a link to listings of coalitions by state. So you can look at your state and you can look at coalitions that exist in your area as well as other parts of the state. There may be opportunities to work together, especially if you want to do something around the mobile VITA sites. Number two, reach out to communities and not just individuals. You can find out when events such as sports games and festivals take place so that you can share tax credit outreach messages with communities that are bonding during these events and feel connected. So if you don't know individuals, let's say you have already sent information out to clients at a certain agency, then looking at how to get the message out even further in communities is another way that you can strengthen your program and your outreach approach. And finally, be creative. Be creative to address any potential barriers that can prevent residents from claiming the Earned Income Tax Credit and using free tax preparation. Pathways Pennsylvania did an initiative with child care centers and had both stationary as well as mobile VITA sites, and they arranged to provide, to prepare tax returns at these child care centers along with a couple of other locations. They also did screening for eligibility for other benefits as well. In being creative, there's an opportunity to connect with the Cooperative Extension Network, which is in almost every county, and most of them have satellite software, so being able to connect with others in your state or in other locations through satellite equipment is an option as well. And you don't even actually have to go through the cooperative extension because now we have Skype and other services that allow us to connect with others through our computers. Also looking at the barriers that potential clients face, just the cost of transportation is often a huge barrier, so looking at how to assist with that. Some VITA sites have either offered gas cards or did a raffle for a gas card to help clients actually get to the site and helping them once they prepare their tax returns and they see the amount of their refund, then some are able to use that towards transportation costs as well. So the Centers campaign, as I mentioned, provides many different resources. We have the tax credit outreach kits, and we can help you in planning your outreach approach. You can download materials as well as sign up for the list to receive an outreach kit by going to www.eitc-outreach.org.
So just to recap, thanks Kristen and thanks Roxy. that what people do in rural communities by themselves or in partnership is to campaigns just to help people know that EITC and CTC are available and then send them to somewhere to help get tax preparation. Some communities actually set up their own programs, either freestanding or in partnership, as Roxy just explained, with neighboring communities or with a statewide coalition. And other communities use the opportunity for of people filing their taxes to help route low-income families to other things that can help them build assets over time. And you know, we've talked about this sort of tangentially in this session. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the next session from 3 to 4. But there really are challenges for rural programs because things are so spread out and population density is smaller. So you've got a lot of difficulty in distance and transportation. If you're going to have an EITC site in a rural place, people have to travel much further to get to it than if you have it in an urban neighborhood. So that's a challenge. And as Roxy talked about, and we'll talk about in the next session, you know, mobile sites or using the internet to help people filing is a great way to go at that. But then you may have a problem, especially in the latter case, with broadband access, because a lot of rural places don't have good broadband access, so you have to do something with that. Qualified and available staff and volunteers. You have fewer people in rural areas to do this, and as you all well know, everyone in a rural area has to be a volunteer at about 15 different things. So this is a challenge, and there are lots of different ways people have gone at this. Roxy referred to the fact that some rural communities are really using high school students, or in cases, community college students. The state of New Mexico has a statewide program where community and college students do this work all across the state to help low-income taxpayers file. So you can get really creative, especially since a lot of the training to become a qualified volunteer is available online to the IRS. And then marketing, getting the message out to people, and I liked Roxy's idea, which a lot of rural places use, which is to really sort of find something that's already going on, like a festival or a football game, and use that as a place to help a lot of people know about it. So the resources, and I notice we have a message here from Earlene. Earlene, good to see you in Garrett County, Maryland, that had 20 inches of snow just during the hurricane. Earlene, we're glad you have power again, but she said we missed the information for obtaining the outreach kits. But here it is, Earlene, on the very next slide. The Center for Budget and Policy Priorities, which is where Roxy works. This is how you can get the outreach kit. There's the information and policy basics and updates. Another national organization that is really up to date on EITC, and this is the organization that also is doing the monitoring what's going on in Congress so that we can preserve EITC and CTC, and that's who you want to get in touch with there, NCTC. And then, of course, the IRS, which, yes, can be helpful, and especially the SPEC program there, Stakeholder Partnerships, Education, and Communication. We've often had SPEC staff on our webinars every year, and they can be extremely helpful. And they want to be. It's their job to be helpful on setting up FIDA sites and helping prepare taxpayers.
So, Roxy, this is Kristen on the line, and I was just wondering if someone is interested, they're brand new to this process, they just heard that EITC is a big deal and that they were interested in starting an EITC campaign in their community. Who are the first people they talk to? Do they need to go to the IRS with partnerships already developed? Can they call the IRS and get tips from them on where to start? What's the first step?
Sure. So the IRS has a division that is dedicated to helping organizations formulate their local outreach efforts on the ground to promote the tax credits and free tax filing assistance. There are people that are designated as IRS Territory Managers, and the Territory Manager would probably be the best place to start. The link to, if you go to our website, EITC-outreach.org, or in one of the earlier slides I shared, there was a little bit of a longer link that takes you to a partnership page. There's also that same link on our homepage. But there is a link to all of the IRS Territory Managers. Some of them cover several states. So that would be a starting place. And then they can help you, or they may direct you to someone else that is locally where you are, since they may be in a different state than you, that can help you in, one, first seeing what's already out there. You can also look at the coalition list that I mentioned by state to see who's already involved in outreach so that you don't reinvent the wheel. And then recognizing that those are the groups that are recognized by the IRS. So there are some outreach efforts, tax credit outreach efforts that are more loosely coordinated that don't have the official IRS recognition, but you can ask around to see if anyone is doing anything in your community already. And if not, then you can start to see, are there other groups that may be interested in partnering with you in this effort. Our outreach kit includes a kind of basic overview, step-by-step process for getting started with the tax credit outreach and who are some organizations that you would want to reach out to. So those are some places that I would go. Start with the IRS Territory Manager, look at what's happening locally, and then start to partner with other organizations.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Roxy, about how many states have a state EITC?
Okay, so there are, I want to say 23 plus Washington, D.C. I'm just going to verify that real quick. In some states, the EITC is refundable, just like the national credit, federal credit, and in other states it's non-refundable, but by claiming it, it can help reduce the tax liability, which can help to make the federal refund larger.
And by going to your website, probably NCTC, or to any of the state coalitions you're talking about, it'll be pretty easy to find out whether somebody's state has an EITC program.
Yes, we have a list on our site. I actually just pulled it up, and yes, it is 23 states plus the District of Columbia.
Thank you all for joining us for session 1. We hope this has been helpful for you.